attorney. As you can see, I'm conducting this hearing by video today. It's being recorded and it's being broadcast as a live stream over the internet. That means any member of the public can watch this. When I ask if you understand your rights, those are the rights to which I am referring. Those who receive a signature bond will be reset for the notice. Those who receive a surety or cash bond today will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on June the 13th of 2023. At that calendar, your bond or other provisions related to your bond can be revisited at that time. All right. Have all members of the Public Defender's Office had the opportunity to speak with their clients?
I believe so. And Miss Kim is actually in the waiting room. She could be let in. But I have spoken with all of my clients, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any other defense attorneys? I know we're waiting on Miss Kim, but are there other defense attorneys who are on the line who may need to speak with their clients? Okay.
Judge, just let you know that we don't have a conflict attorney for today. And I think there was about 5 conflict cases.
Okay. All right. Thank you for letting me know. All right. Who do we have first?
Good afternoon, Judge Williams. We're going to talk about the conflicts first.
Okay. Is there any chance, Mr. Jordan, that Ms. McLeod will show at any point? Or no?
Oh. What was your question, Judge? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask if there's any chance that Ms. McLeod may appear later in the calendar, or she
has court with Judge Morrison this afternoon, so she couldn't do the cases.
She couldn't do it. Okay, that's fine. We can take the conflict cases.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Is Miss Kim in the lobby?
I just saw her. Ms. Kim was just here a moment ago. All right.
I think she's having technical issues because she's been trying to log on ever since we started.
I saw her for a second. All right. Can we take the conflict cases first then?
Position 1, Miss Allen, and she also has family in the gallery. Come on, Miss Allen.
Okay, Ms. Allen, your case is 23 CR 003429A. In this case, you charge a simple battery family violence with the offense date of May the 29th. There are no conflict attorneys or present to represent you today. What that means is the public defender's office has an ethical conflict and cannot represent you. Normally, an appointed attorney would appear, but she has another place to be this afternoon and cannot appear. What will happen is I'm going to listen to your history, hear the state's recommendation. If I do not feel that I can give you a signature bond, I'm going to reset you to tomorrow's calendar in the hopes that a conflict attorney will appear at that time. Okay? Do you understand your rights today?
Yeah.
All right. This is her first arrest, so we'll go to Ms. Bickerstaff.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge. This incident occurred May 29th at 1835 Sylvan Road in Atlanta. And this is where the defendant stated that she and her niece, Miss Hope Allen, who she lives with, were in an altercation over using the stove in the kitchen. And the defendant grabbed a pot of chili that Miss Allen was holding, and they ended up on the kitchen floor. And during the scruffle, Miss Allen flipped some hot chili towards her, and the defendant kicked Miss Allen. Miss Allen was 75 years old and the defendant is 51 years old. Miss Allen was arrested as well yesterday, and she stated that she helps care for the defendant and wants to continue living in the home with her. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, no further violent contact with Miss Hope Allen, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Miss Hope Allen is the one that's 75?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm Betty Allen. I'm 75.
Okay, understood. That was what I was trying to clarify.
Miss Betty Allen is 75.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Okay. At this time, I will accept the state's recommendation. Defendant will receive a signature bond through pretrial services in the amount of $3,000. She's to have no further violent contact with alleged, cross-defendant in this case. And additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further? Oh, it's per judge, as a reminder. All right. If nothing's further, best of luck to you, Ms. Allen. That concludes your case, all right?
Thank you.
You said it's pre-trial?
Yes. For
My-
judge.
My address needs to be corrected. It's 1835 Silver Ridge Drive,
Okay.
Atlanta 30310.
Oh, that's okay. We don't really need your address because we're not ordering you to stay away from there, okay? All right. Take care. Have a good day. All right. Who do we have next?
Position 16 has a visitor in the gallery, Ms. Smith. Where's Smith? Have a seat right here.
All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Smith. Your case is 23 CR 003441B. You are in the same position as the last defendant. There is no attorney present to represent you, even though you have a right to an attorney. If I do not feel that I can give you a signature bond today, you will be reset to tomorrow's SCA.
I'm sorry, Judge. She was representing, I'm just doing the family members that's in the gallery. I'm doing the visitors.
Oh,
Right.
she's not a conflict. I thought we were doing all the conflict first.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. That way you won't get confused. The rest of
Okay.
it will be all conflicts.
Okay.
Sorry
All
about
right. That's okay. Thank you for clarifying. All right, Ms. Smith, you understand your rights today? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is her first arrest, so we'll go to Mr. Young.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon.
This incident occurred on May 8th of 2023 at the Northside Hospital located at 1000 Johnson Ferry Road in Sandy Springs. We have had contact with the victim, Sheldon Hepburn, who said that they would not be on Zoom. And he did advise that he lived with the defendant for about 3 months when he first moved here. He says the defendant has been aggressive toward him before and he wants a no contact. But the facts are that law enforcement responded to this location in reference to a battery reported. Law enforcement spoke with the victim who stated that the accused attacked him near the break room area, striking him in the face repeatedly. A supervisor, Ms. Hawkins, observed the battery against the victim. The accused told officers that a coworker had told her that the victim had said something mean about a child. Security also advised that there is some video footage of the incident, given the lack of history. The state's recommendation is a $2,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim. A stay away, however, I would defer to the court. I believe they work together, so if they can avoid any contact at work, state wishes to have the court enforce that. There's
Okay.
nothing further.
And you said it's stay away from Northside Hospital is the request?
Yes, and I don't think the defendant works there anymore, per a message I just received.
Okay. All right. All right, Ms. Kim, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Miss Smith, is actually, she has 7 minor children, Your Honor, except one who is 19. Everybody else, 6 kids are minors, and she has a full custody of those 7 children, Your Honor. I mean, 6 minor children. She's qualified for public defender services, so our office will continuously represent her. She is indigent and indeed, and right now, she is going through a very distressful situation. Her 8-month baby is inside of the hospice care right now, and she brought her back to the home to have a home hospice situation to take care of 8-month-old baby. And Your Honor, right now, 19 and 18 years old little children, I mean, they're young adults, are taking care of that 8-month-old baby with a nurse who's visiting temporarily time to time. And I think she has to get out of the jail fast to take care of the minor children and her baby, who is facing medically critical situation at this point. Your Honor, this is the first time this kind of things ever happened. They work together, I guess, I believe. They're family friends. My client works at Northside Hospital as a housekeeper. She's been there for 4 years, and we are hoping that she does not lose her job because she is the sole provider for these total of 8 family members. Your Honor, we would like to request for a signature on bond. And there was, we would greatly appreciate your consideration of her situation. She graduated from high school successfully. Ever since then, she's been working hard, raising 7 children, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. She's to have no contact whatsoever with Mr. Hepburn. She's to stay away from Northside Hospital if she's no longer employed, but she can return there to if she's still working or to receive medical services. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and she must take the 1-day anger awareness course. Of course, this SOB through pretrial is per judge. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor, from defense. Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Smith. All right.
Position 2, Askew, she's a conflict.
All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Askew. Your case is 23 CR 003446A. In this case, you're charged with battery. Again, you have a right to an attorney today, but there is no conflict attorney available to represent you. If I do not feel that you can get a signature bond today, your case will be reset to tomorrow. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is her first arrest, so Ms. Bickerstaff.
Yes, Your Honor. Can we take up this position and position 11, Madison Jones? It's the same facts. They're co-defendants in this.
I'm gonna do all the conflicts first.
Okay.
And I'll just take good notes.
Okay.
All right, please
So,
proceed.
yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at the Glen Iris Lofts at 620 Glen Iris Drive. And this is where Ms. Sanani Stockton stated to officers that she arrived at the gate and that a red car pulled up and the 2 defendants, Ms. Askew and Ms. Jones, got out the car. Ms. Askew, who was in a relationship with Ms. Stockton, stated that they had got into an argument earlier, and that's where Ms. Stockton had taken the defendant's dog. Ms. Stockton said she took the dog for a walk and she didn't have any malpurposes for taking the dog. Defendant Jones then took Ms. Stockton's keys and tossed them into the grass. And then according to Ms. Stockton, both defendants took her to the ground and they began punching her and hitting her in the face and head. Ms. Stockton suffered bruises to her eyes. She was bleeding from her mouth and she had swollen eyes and red marks to her face. All this was noted in the police report. Defendant Jones claimed that she was struck after Ms. Stockton's keys were thrown in the grass. However, Defendant Askew stated that Ms. Stockton was drunk, but the officers did not note that in the police report or the warrants. Our office was able to speak to Ms. Stockton today. She let us know that she is the ex-girlfriend of Defendant Askew and that Madison Thomas, the other defendant, is the ex-girlfriend as well of Ms. Askew. And so she stated because of this incident, she suffered a broken blood vessel in her eye and that she had stitches from a previous incident. And because of this attack, she had to get the stitches re-stitched because they burst during the incident, Your Honor. She also let us know that Ms. Askew still has her car at her residence, and so she'll need one-time law enforcement escort to get that. And she also has some belongings at the defendant's residence, so she would like a law enforcement escort to get those things. So, the state's recommendation for Defendant Askew is a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with Sanani Stockton, and to stay away from the Glen Iris Lofts, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, and 1-day anger awareness. And if Ms. Stockton is on the Zoom call, I'd like to sound for her.
Is Ms. Stockton present?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, if you'd like to make a statement, you need to turn on your camera, raise your right hand.
Are you able to see me?
No.
I turned on my camera. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure what's going on. I turned on my camera, but it's nothing showing.
We need to try to figure it out. Maybe you need to log out and log back in.
Okay.
And at courtroom two, since the victim and witness is here, can I do Ms. Jones next, even though I know I asked for the conflict? Thank you.
Have a seat over here. Go ahead and have a seat. Oh, we're gonna do one next. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna rule and then I'll hear a statement from Ms. Stockton. At this time, Ms. Askew is gonna receive a $2,000 surety bond. She's to have no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim in this case. Additionally, she's to have no drugs or weapons as a condition. Did the state request a stay away?
Yes,
From the Glen Iris.
office.
Okay, and she needs to stay away from 620 Glen Iris Drive. And what we're also gonna do is we'll reset her to tomorrow in the event that she does not make that $2,000 surety bond. All right, Ms. Stockton, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
All right, well, now today, let me be clear. I'm not sentencing anyone. So the facts as you see them are not as important as they may be at a later date. However, I will hear a statement from you, particularly, I'm assuming you wish to have no contact with either parties, but I'd like you to elaborate on that. What would you like to tell me at this time?
I just want to note that during the whole entire altercation, I was shown no mercy whatsoever. There was 2 against 1, and not only did I try to get away multiple times, tried to get in my car and get away, someone to call the police and help me out of the situation. Both of them did not stop in any regard. Even when the other person was overpowering me, the other person was kind of rooting for it. They were even on the phone, bragging about what they did to me and how my eye was bloody and all that. And in reference to the dog, even once they knew that the dog was safe at home, the altercation continued. Both of them have a history of violence.
Okay, yeah. I don't really want to remember today. I'm not really getting into the
No,
sentence.
I'm just kind of getting into kind of where I'm coming from. I just know both of them have had aggression in the past. So I'm fearful of retaliation. So I don't want any further contact unless law enforcement is involved.
Okay, and I'm gonna add that she can return one time with a member of law enforcement to get any items. All right. All right. I know that you have a question, Ms. Askew, but you don't have an attorney, and I really don't want you to say something the state is going to end up using against you. You can ask me a very limited question. What is your question?
Work at the same job. Am I meant to quit my job?
Okay, that can be addressed tomorrow. At this time, you're supposed to have no contact with her. I don't want to speak too much to you, okay? Okay.
To speak on this?
Go ahead, speak to that very quickly, Ms.
I won't be returning there, so that's not a worry at all.
Okay. Okay, so that won't affect you. All right. And you'll be, if you don't make the $2,000 bond, you'll be reset to tomorrow's calendar in the hopes that the conflict attorney will be present. Okay. All right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Askew. Can we now go to Ms. Jones since we have Ms. Stockton here?
This is position 11, Ms. Jones.
All right, Ms. Jones, your case is 23 CR 003447A. In this case, you're charged with battery. You understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, I believe this is Ms. Jones' first arrest. It is Ms. Bickerstaff. I have the facts. Please add whatever you'd like to add.
Nothing additional, Your Honor. The state's recommendation would be a $3,000 surety bond. Again, no further contact with Ms. Stockton, to stay away from the Glen Iris lofts, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, as well as a one-day anger awareness course.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was that monetary amount again?
$3,000 surety.
Okay. All right, Ms. Stockton, I've heard from you as it pertains to the previous case. Anything additional, very briefly, to add to Ms. Jones' case, reminding you that you're under oath?
Nothing else to add.
Thank you. Ms. Wills, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 25 years old. She has resided in the state of Georgia for the past 3 years. She is a teacher. She teaches special education at Adamson Middle School, and she will not qualify to be represented by the Public Defender's Office moving forward. She is a graduate of the University of Florida, and she has no children. My client does deny the allegations as alleged, and she also states that Ms. Stockton did initiate the physical confrontation on that date. This did occur at a parking garage, and so my client does believe that there might be video surveillance and footage of the incident. I would request a signature on bond. It seems that the real issue is between Ms. Askew and Ms. Stockton, and not my client. And this is my client's first arrest, so I would ask for a signature on bond. And if Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask for a bond to not exceed $1,000. And she has no objection to no contact and staying away from the location.
All right. Defendant will receive a $2,000 surety bond. She's have no contact with Ms. Stockton, stay away from the location on Glen Iris, and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further?
No.
No.
All right. Best of luck to you both. All right.
Position 17, Ms. Thomas, she's a conflict.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Thomas, your case is 23 CR 003430J. In this case, you're charged with battery, family violence, with the offense date of May the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And again, if I do not feel that you can receive a signature bond today, you'll be reset to tomorrow's SEA calendar in the hopes that a conflict attorney will appear. All right. This is her first arrest. Please proceed, Ms. Bickerstaff.
Yes, Your Honor. And just like before, if we could take this case up with position 3, Jasmine Bailey, as their co-defendants in this. But this incident occurred yesterday at 215 Piedmont Avenue, and this was the Landmark condominiums. And this is where defendant Thomas stated that defendant Bailey pushed her several times. Defendant Bailey stated that defendant Thomas was about to leave, and defendant Bailey didn't want her to leave because they had just arrived together from Baltimore. Defendant Thomas then struck defendant Bailey in the face with a beer can. And then defendant Bailey, officers noted that defendant Bailey had a small knot and scratch to the middle of her forehead. There was video security footage that officers reviewed and showed that defendant Bailey pushed defendant Thomas several times, and then defendant Thomas struck her in the forehead with the beer can. Based on the video, the officer arrested both defendants. And when the officer tried to arrest defendant Bailey, she fled on foot, and then she was tackled to the ground by the officer. Both defendant Bailey and defendant Thomas, they lived together previously for 6 months. And based on the fact that defendant Bailey was the primary aggressor, that she pushed defendant Thomas several times, then threw the beer can, defendant Bailey's the recommendation for defendant Bailey is a $3,000 surety bond. I'm sorry, we're on Kayla though. Kayla Thomas, I'm sorry. Ms. Thomas's recommendation is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, no further contact with Jasmine Bailey, and one-day anger awareness.
Okay. In light of the information before me, I will accept the state's recommendation. She will receive a $3,000 SOB through pretrial and to have no contact with the cross defendant. Take the 1-day anger awareness course and stay away from that incident location. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Anything further? All right, Ms. Thomas, best of luck to you. I've given you a signature bond, so your case will not be reset to tomorrow. And can we do Ms. Bailey?
Yeah, Judge, I'm sorry, because it's a lot of noise over here. What was the bond again, please?
3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge.
Thank you. Position 3, Bailey.
All right, Ms. Bailey's case 23 CR 003431J. Ms. Bailey, you're charged with simple battery, family violence, and obstruction with the offense date of May the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right. This is her first arrest, so I know we've heard the facts. Ms. Bickerstaff, anything further to add?
Nothing further to add. The state's recommendation is going to be a $3,500 surety bond, $3,000 for the simple battery, and $500 for the willful obstruction. No further contact with Miss Kayla Thomas, and to stay away from 215 Piedmont Avenue, as well as the 1-day anger awareness course.
Okay. Ms. Wills?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would request that my client receive the same bond, a signature bond, as her cross defendant. I don't know what the impetus was for this incident, but it could have occurred, or there could have been mitigating or instigating factors prior to what was seen or observed. My client does deny the allegations as alleged. She also states that she and Ms. Thomas never lived together. This incident did occur at an Airbnb. And so my client, if she could be permitted a one-time law enforcement return to pick up any items that she may have that are still there. My client is employed at H&S as a host. H&S host as a manager. She's been there for the past 2 months. She does have a high school diploma, and she will not qualify to be represented by the public defender's office.
All right. The defendant will receive a $3,500 signature bond through pretrial per judge, 3,000 count 1, 500 count 2. She's to have no contact with the cross defendant, stay away from the incident location. However, she can return one time with law enforcement to get any items. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and she is to take the 1-day anger awareness course. Is there anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing from the state.
All right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Bailey. Who do we have next?
Position 13, Overton. There's a conflict.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Overton. Your case is 23 CR 003436G. In this case, you're charged with obstruction with the offense date of May the 29th. Again, you have a right to an attorney, but no attorney is present today to represent you. If I do not feel that I can give you a signature bond, you will be reset to tomorrow. All right.
37 total. Oh, I'm living. You can go.
Go ahead, Mr. Howard. What is this history?
37 total. Last arrest was February, probation. Got an open cruelty in the first, battery and hindering 911 call out of Clayton County. Probation in Fayette for DUI. 2020, he was arrested twice for battery DV. One time it was battery DV and obstruction. 2019 FTA and 2018 probation.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Young?
Yes, Judge. This incident occurred on May 29, 2023 at 4265 Shirley Drive, Southwest in Atlanta. This is the Economy Hotel. Law enforcement responded to this location and reported an intoxicated and irate male being disorderly, screaming and making threats, even going as far as to placing another guest at this location in a headlock. When law enforcement spoke with the defendant at his hotel, he appeared to be intoxicated, and when they requested identification information, he refused. After several attempts, law enforcement went to detain the defendant, which he resisted, ran back into the hotel room, locked himself in. Officers had to force their way into the hotel room in order to reach the defendant. Given his long history and a serious history of obstruction, the state's recommendation is a $2,000 surety bond, a stay away from 4265 Shirley Drive Southwest, and that's all for the state.
All right. In light of the information before me, defendant will receive a $1,500 surety bond. He's to stay away from that incident location and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. He will also be reset to tomorrow's SCA calendar in the hopes that a conflict attorney will appear at that time, and if he does not make that $1,500 bond. All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Overton. That concludes your hearing at this time.
Position 12, Matt. He's a conflict.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Mapp. Your case is 23 CR 003435C. You're charged with simple battery, family violence with the offense date of May the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And as a reminder, if you do not receive a signature bond today, you will be reset to tomorrow's SCA in the hopes that a conflict attorney will be available to assist you as you have a right to an attorney. I have that this is his first arrest. So Mr. Young, please proceed.
Yes, Judge. This incident occurred on May 30th, 2023 at 171 Anderson Avenue, Northwestern Atlanta. The victim reported to officers that the defendant punched him in the face, head and body causing bruising and swelling. After the accused questioned the victim, the parties lived together at this location. It's a rooming home or something like that. The state's recommendation in this case is a $2,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Henry Jackson, and a stay away from that address, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, one-day anger awareness. We would ask the court to sign for Mr. Jackson when appropriate. I don't know if he's on the Zoom or not.
Okay. Mr. Jackson, are you present and wish to make a statement? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Matt will receive a $3,500 signature bond through pretrial services. He is to have no contact with Mr. Jackson. He is additionally to stay away from that location. He can return one time with a member of law enforcement to get any items. Additionally, he's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Anything further from the state? All right.
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Matt, best of luck to you. That concludes your hearing at this time, okay?
Thank you.
All right, who do we have next?
Position 9, Hester. That was it for all the conflicts, Judge.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
You're welcome.
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Hester. Your case is 23 CR 003438C. You're charged with battery in this particular case. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am, but, okay. Yes.
Oh, no, just yes. Okay, thank you. Ms. Howard, can I have the history, please?
Third arrest, 2018 possession of marijuana, 2016 obstruction, first offender. This was SOB jail was a recommendation.
Okay. All right, Ms. Bickerstaff, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday, and this is where an officer was flagged down at 106th Street. This is the Sky House South Apartments. And the officer observed the defendant standing in front of a vehicle occupied by Mr. Corey Odom. Odom told officers that he was at the location to get an apartment, and the defendant showed up irate. The manager of the apartment asked both of them to leave. And so then Mr. Odom told the officers that once he was outside, the defendant attacked him and took his keys to his car. He stated that he was bit and scratched and kicked by the defendant. Officers observed scratches to his face and a bite to his left bicep. The defendant stated that Mr. Odom contacted her and shared his location with her and insisted that she meet with him to discuss their relationship. And then after being asked to leave, Mr. Odom ripped her shirt and forced her into his car. The defendant stated that she fought him to get away as she was grabbed and choked, as Mr. Odom grabbed and choked her. The defendant then stood on her vehicle and stomped it in her window shield. They have a 4-year-old child. Mr. Odom on the window. the defendant stated that Odom stomped on the window and had the defendant in a headlock, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. We're asking for no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and to stay away from the 106th Street address, as well as no further contact with Corey Odom. And if Mr. Odom's on the Zoom call, I'd like to sound for him.
All right, Mr. Odom, are you present? All right, hearing none. Ms. Wills?
Thank you, Judge. We have no objection to the signature on bond. I just would like to note for the record that my client was attacked by Mr. Odom. He did damage her car by stomping out the back window of her vehicle, the back windshield. He choked, slapped, and pulled my client's hair, and she defended herself to get away from him. He also invited her to that location. That is why she was there on that day. So I just wanted to note that for the record. She does deny the allegations as alleged.
All right. Thank
Yes,
you.
Your Honor. Just quickly, Mr. Corey Odom was on the first appearance felony calendar for battery and criminal damage to property in the second degree.
Okay. Defendant received a $3,000 SOB through the jail. She's to have no contact with Mr. Odom and stay away from that incident location. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the state.
No, Your Honor.
All right.
The
That's
amount of the bond, Judge, I'm sorry.
3,000.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Hester. Let's conclude your hearing. All right.
Position 5, Bryant.
All right, good afternoon. Ms. Bryant, your case is 23 CR 003432A. You're charged with simple battery with the offense date of May the 30th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. This is not her first arrest. Mr. Howard, what's the history, please?
Second arrest, 2020 battery, criminal damage to property. It was DWAP.
All right, Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at 3684 Saturn Drive in Atlanta. And this is where Miss Mahogany Lloyd was dropping off her grandson to Miss Shamaya Bryant. She is another defendant in this case who was on the felony first appearance calendar for battery and cruelty to children in the second degree. But the defendant, Miss Bryant, and Shamaya Bryant ran up to the vehicle and they attacked Miss Lloyd and her 3-year-old child, Miss Demi Reese. And Shamaya Bryant struck the 3-year-old, Your Honor, and the defendant, Alexis Bryant, punched Miss Lloyd in the face. Officers were shown a live video feed on Instagram with the defendant Bryant and Miss Shamaya Bryant bragging about what had happened with a third person. His name was Mr. Brandon Henderson, Your Honor. Our office was able to speak to Ms. Lloyd, and she stated that the victim is the grandmother of Miss Shamaya Bryant's son, and that Alexis is the sister of Miss Shamaya Bryant. The defendant is Shamaya Bryant's sister, and that they had been arguing over her son all day, and she did not feel comfortable with her son going over to the defendant's home to drop off the son, Your Honor. So Miss Lloyd decided to drop off the grandson instead. And that's when an unknown man, Mr. Brian Henderson, came to the car and was getting the son out of the car. And he stated, "What are y'all gonna do?" And that's when she was attacked. The state's recommendation for this is a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with Miss Mahogany Lloyd, and the co-defendant, Shamaya Bryant, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. And if Miss Bryant is on the Zoom call, I'm not Miss Bryant, but Miss Lloyd, if she's on the Zoom call, I'd like to sound for her.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Whoa,
Miss Lloyd is here.
whoa, 1 second. 1 second. Ms. Lloyd, if you wish to make a statement, we need you to turn your camera on and raise your right hand so I can swear you in. Okay, where are you, Miss Lloyd? Are you in somewhere quiet? We were hearing a lot of background
Yes,
noise at first.
yes, I'm at work. I'm outside. I had to go on break.
All right. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Today I'm not imposing any sentences, so your version of the facts are not of the most critical importance. What's most important is whether you fear the defendant and whether you wish to have any contact with the defendant. Otherwise, what would you like to tell me today?
Yes, I do. Now at this point, I fear both of them, and I don't want no contact with neither one of them. And at this point, I kind of fear for my life now. Since they attacked me, I kind of fear for my life at this point, and my kids. I do fear. I really do fear.
Okay. I understand and I appreciate and thank you for coming to court at this time. All right. Ms. Wells,
Yes.
please proceed.
Thank you. My client is just 20 years old. She is a native of Atlanta. She was employed by Family Dollar as a cashier, but she believes she may have lost her job as a result of her arrest. So she will pay for our services. My client does deny the allegations as alleged. She states that there was a verbal dispute, that Miss Lloyd then left the location. However, one of her doors were open, putting in danger her own child, the 3-year-old, and that Miss Bryant was just trying to get the car or prevent Miss Lloyd from leaving so that she wouldn't harm her own child. I would ask, in light of my client's criminal history, that she be granted a signature bond. She has very limited means, and if Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask for a $500 surety bond. My client has no objection to not having any further contact or returning to that incident location. She actually does not want to have further contact with Miss Lloyd. And also, I would object to the no further contact with her own sister.
Okay. All right. At this time, defendant will receive a $2,000 surety bond. She's to have no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim, in this case, Miss Lloyd. She is to stay away from the incident location. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as a condition of that surety bond. And as a reminder, she'll be reset to state all purpose on the 13th of June, whereby any of these provisions can be revisited. Anything further from either the state or defense?
Nothing from the state.
No, Your
How
Honor.
much was
All
that?
right. 2,000. All right, best. I know you have a question, but the best thing to do is to speak to Ms. Wills. Okay, I don't want you to say something that may be used against you, Ms. Bryan. Okay. All right, that concludes your hearing. Best of luck to you.
Position 19, Wires.
Okay. Good afternoon. Your case is 23 CR 003444G. In this case, you're charged with criminal trespass. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, can I have the history, please?
23 total. Last arrest was 2021. Ag assault conviction. He was just recently convicted of that, I think. 2021, possession of a Schedule 1. Probation. 2019, probation. 2019, theft by receiving. Misdemeanor possession of marijuana. And possession of a Schedule 4 conviction. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Young.
Yes, Your Honor. I also want to bring it to your attention that I did make a plea offer in this case of 12 months to serve 1 day, credit for time served 1 day, the balance suspended, and to stay away from the incident location. I haven't been in contact to know if we are moving forward with a plea or just a hearing.
I'm assuming it's not going to be a plea, but we'll let Ms. Kim ring in. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, he did not want to. I didn't want to recommend any kind of plea deal. I don't think that he is capable of accepting that.
Okay. So let's move forward with the recommendation for his bond.
This recommendation is a $2,000 signature bond and to stay away from Amoco gas station located at 605 Boulevard Northeast in Atlanta. He returned to this location after being previously trespassed earlier the same day. That's all for the state.
Ms. Kim, I'm assuming you don't object to the signature bond, which I'm inclined to grant in light of the information before me. All right, defendant
No
received
objection.
a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, and he's to stay away from that Amico station. Please don't go back there, sir. All right?
So
All
I
right.
get signature bond? Yeah.
Yes, you have do not go back there.
Mr.
though.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right,
Thank you.
all right.
Signature bond, Judge?
2,000 SOB through the jail.
You said 2,000? Position 4, Brown.
What? Come on.
Ms. Brown?
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Brown. Your case is 23 CR 003450H. You're charged with battery and cruelty to children in third degree. I'm sorry, battery family violence with the offense date of May the 30th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
24 total. Last arrest was back in March, suspended license out of Douglas County. 2014 marijuana possession conviction, shoplifting from 2015. 2015 FTA. I think the last violent charge I saw was like 04 simple battery.
All right, thank you. Mr. Young.
Yes, this incident occurred at 3980 North Point Parkway, room 240 in Alpharetta. This is the Sonesta Suites. Law enforcement responded to this location in reference to a fire alarm being reported. Firefighters advised the officer as they were en route about the dispute, so officers redirected to address the dispute. When they approached the door, they could hear the victim saying that I'm going to fuck you up for scratching my face. And at this point, law enforcement made contact with the victim, who first advised that it was only a verbal altercation, but he eventually recanted and admitted that it came from his girlfriend. The defendant did, admitting to some pushing back and forth between the two, and then she went to mush him in the face, and she scratched him. There was a minor child present in the hotel room when this battery occurred. The victim in this case is DeMarco Shine, and the minor being MS. State is recommending a $4,000 surety bond, no further contact. From my understanding, we have had some contact with the victim. They are no longer at that hotel. She wishes to have contact with the defendant as she does not fear him. However, she did confirm that the defendant did scratch her.
Right.
Scratch him, I'm sorry.
Is DeMarco Shine present and wishes to make a statement? All right, hearing and seeing none. Is this Ms. Kim or Ms. Wills? Ms. Wills.
She
please.
was, Ms. Brown was assigned to Ms. Kim.
Oh, Ms. Kim, please proceed. Ms. Kim, are you there?
I'm trying to call her right now.
Okay.
Oh, her hand is raised.
I'm assuming there's a technical issue. Ms. Kim is here but can't speak with us.
Repeat yourself, Jay. I'm sorry.
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize, but it seems like I have a hard time connecting the system of the microphone and camera right now. Ms. Brown is 38 years old, and Your Honor, she graduated from community college with an associate degree. She's currently working on bachelor's degree at AIU for business management. Your Honor, she has a job. She's working from home. She recently got the job, and she's building up her life at this point. We would like to request for signature on bond This was complete misunderstanding, and my client completely denies the allegation. She is a single parent, and she's working with Single Parent Alliance Center for her housings and her jobs, and taking care of 4 children, Your Honor. We would like to request for a signature on bond. Thank you.
All right, defendant's gonna receive a $1,500 surety bond, 1,000 on count 1, 500 on count 2. She's to have no contact with the alleged victim in this case and stay away from that incident location. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as a condition. Anything further, Ms. Kim? Oh, you're back. Yes, Ms.
Not
Kim.
to bother. Thank you very much. I appreciate your patience.
All right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Brown. That concludes your hearing at this time.
Position 21, Williams.
All right, good afternoon. Your case is 23 CR 0034449J. In this case, you're charged with simple battery, family violence, with the offense date of February the 6th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have her history, please?
Second arrest, 2018, 2 counts of shoplifting. Trespass, driving without a valid license. That was dismissed.
Mr. Young?
Your Honor, this incident occurred on February 2nd, 2023 at 1000 Spicewood Court in South Fulton. The victim in this case being a Joshua Bridges, who our office has not had any contact. The victim reported that when he arrived home, he had found the mother of his child, the defendant, standing on his back porch. She was upset about another woman being in the home. She became upset and attempted to damage a vehicle, but was stopped by the defendant. She then sprayed him in the face with pepper spray. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Joshua Bridges, a stay away from 1000 Spicewood Court in South Fulton, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and 1-day anger awareness.
Okay. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Williams, her first name is Trinicia because we have 2 different Williams today. I would like to recommend for a signature on bond. This was purely self-defense. He was indeed very violent in the past, and even after this incident, Your Honor, he was moving forward his body toward her. She got so intimidated. She was the point that she had to spray the peppermint to protect her safety. We would like to request for signature on bond. She's recommended for unsecured judicial report relief, and she has no other previous histories whatsoever in terms of violent offenses. She has a 6-year-old daughter who is currently with her god sister. The child really needs her mother. Your Honor, we would like to request for signature on bond for her. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Williams is gonna receive a $3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. She's gonna take the 1-day anger awareness course and have no contact with Mr. Bridges. They share a child, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. One
Okay.
6 years old. We would like to request for third
With
party
third party, yes.
transfer.
They can
Yes.
arrange transport of the child by coordinating with the third party. Otherwise, they're not to have any communication between the two. She's to stay away from the incident location. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Best of luck to you, Ms. Williams. That concludes your case.
Position 14, Ragland.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Ragland. Your case is 23 CR 003439Y. In this case, you're charged with reckless conduct and criminal trespass and damage to property. Do you understand your rights? All right, this is her first arrest, so we will go to Mr. Young.
That's a pretrial recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this incident occurred on May 27, 2023 at 290 Hildebrand Drive in Sandy Springs. This is a business complex with multiple businesses at this location. Law enforcement responded to this location in response to a large group involved in a fight that was still ongoing when officers arrived. When law enforcement spoke with the victim, T. Erica Chappell, and others, they learned that the accused had entered the rental vehicle belonging to Ms. Chapel without permission and drove the vehicle around the parking lot several times in a violent manner before striking another vehicle in the parking lot and a concrete pole. The vehicle was disabled as a result. Our office has had some contact with Tierra Chapel, and I'm not sure if she will be on Zoom or not. Anyway, we'd ask the court to sign for her when appropriate. However, she did advise that she does not want any further contact and to stay away from her residence, being 1212 James Jackson Parkway. As this is not the first incident with the defendant, and she confirmed everything in the warrant. It says that this was an intentional act on part of the defendant. So given that, the state is asking for a $3,000 security bond, no further contact with the victim, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a stay away from her residence. There's nothing further.
All right, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Ms. Reckland, is 23 years old. She is native of Georgia. Your Honor, she is a single mother of two dependents, 5-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter, Your Honor. This is her first time. She completely denies the allegation. Indeed, when she found out about this incident, she turned herself voluntarily to take care of this matter. When this warrant was issued, she was never interviewed by the police officer. The story is totally one-sided by Ms. Chapel, and we have no objection to no further contact and stay away from her incident location. She does not want to have any contact either. Your Honor, we would like to request for signature on bond as she is currently pursuing dental assistance program at UEI. And also, Your Honor, she had like GPA 3.8 in high school. She is a great student and great mom, responsible. And by the way, she's qualified for her public defender services because of her indigency. So we would like to request for a signature on bond. Thank you.
All right, defendant will receive a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, $1,500 on each count. She is to have no contact with, I'm sorry, what was the name again?
Tarika Chapel.
Okay, that individual, and stay away from the incident location. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Anything further?
Nothing further from defense. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Ragland.
I think so. Well, sure.
Position 20, Williams.
Is that the last position?
I'm sorry.
Can we do that one last?
Okay. Go ahead and sit back. Go back. Sit back. Position 6, Edwards, not in my front row.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Edwards. Your case is 23 CR 003433Y. You're in this case, you're charged with battery. Do you understand your rights today?
Yes, I do.
All right. Let's see. Ms. Howard.
Six total. 2022 failure to appear was the last. You got a couple of FTAs from 2021. 2021 battery DV dismissed. 2019 battery DV dismissed.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Bickerstaff.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred April 25th, 2023 at 865 Fox Street, apartment 2. And this is where, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the first name, but Juzema, that's Juzema, Goldring, told officers that she went through the defendant's phone and saw a text from the defendant's brother advising him to rob her. And so the defendant and Goldring had been in an intimate relationship with one another for 5 years, and they lived together. Goldring went outside and she tried to call 911. That's when the defendant and his brother came out and attacked her. There was apartment security footage that the police officer viewed, and it showed the defendant and his brother exit the apartment and physically assault her. The defendant and his brother then ran away. Ms. Goldring had lacerations and abrasions and stated that she was choked by the defendant and that she could not breathe. choking was seen in the video, Your Honor, and we are recommending this case for a felony aggravated assault for strangulation, Your Honor. I would just like for you to know, even though the defendant had a battery family violence case that was dismissed, it was against the same victim, Ms. Goldring, and he also had a previous battery family violence case in DeKalb County. It was dismissed, but it involved a different victim. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $7,500 surety bond. We're asking for a stay away from the 865 Fox Street address, apartment 2, no further contact with Ms. Goldring, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. And if Ms. Goldring is on the Zoom call, I'd like to sound for her.
All right, is Ms. Goldring present? All right, Ms. Wills?
Mr. Edwards is 22 years old. He is an Atlanta native. He does have his GED. And he does deny the allegations as alleged. He states that if there was any physical altercation, that he responded out of self-defense. In light of my client not having any prior convictions, I would ask for a signature on bond. I have not had the opportunity to view the video, which was referred to by the state. If Your Honor is not so inclined to grant a signature on bond, I would request a $1,500 surety bond. I did attempt to reach out to Ms. Goldring, however, the number was disconnected. But my client has no objection to staying away from the incident location and not having any further contact.
All right, defendant will receive a $5,000 surety bond. He's to have no contact with Ms. Goldring and stay away from the incident location. Additionally, he's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the state.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Edwards. What do we have next?
Position 7, Golden.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Golden. Your case is 23 CR 003434C. In this case, you're charged with battery family violence for the offense date of March the 31st. Do you understand your rights? All right, I'm assuming he's saying yes. Mr. Howard?
19 total. Last arrest was in December. 10 counts of theft by taking out of Gwinnett. That's open. 2011, domestic battery dismissed. 2012, possession of a controlled substance. 2012, trespass. 2013, ag assault, domestic battery. It says stricken off with leave to reinstate. That's it.
Okay. Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, so this incident occurred March 31st, 2023 at 5501 Glen Ridge Drive. And this is where Miss Asia Ross stated that she met with the accused at the above location. There was a verbal argument between the two that turned physical. The defendant struck her several times in the face and knocked her to the ground. And while Ms. Ross was on the ground, the defendant continued to strike her in the face. Officers observed that Ms. Ross was bleeding from the nose and mouth, and the left side of her head was bleeding, and it was, she was bleeding from the right side of her head. And the defendant and Ms. Ross share a child together. Our office was able to speak with Ms. Ross, and she let us know that they share a child and that she no longer lives at the apartment complex of the incident, but believes the defendant still lives there. She confirmed the events listed in the warrant. And she stated that this was not the first time that this has happened or the first time that the defendant had been violent with her in the past. And she stated that she's called the police on the defendant multiple times, but every time he runs. But this was the first time that the defendant was arrested when she called the police, Your Honor. The victim also, Ms. Ross also let us know that since this incident, the defendant has shown up to her home unannounced, and she let us know that she does not want any contact with him and she wants him to stay away from her residence, Your Honor. She stated that they don't need a third party transfer because their child is 11 years old and he can just get out the car by himself, Your Honor. But the state's recommendation for the defendant is a $7,500 surety bond, no further contact with Miss Asia Ross, to stay away from the incident location 342 Nelson Street. No, I'm sorry, that's not the incident location. That's Miss Ross's address. To stay away from her address, which is 342 Nelson Street, apartment 119. And although the victim stated that she doesn't want third-party transfer for the children, but we just believe that there needs to be third-party transfer for the children, that we believe that she doesn't need to interact with the defendant at all, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Ross, I see you on the line. You're not required to make a statement, but if you'd like to do so, this is your opportunity. Would you like to make a statement? Okay. Ms. Wells, please proceed.
My client is 34 years old. He has resided in the state of Georgia for the past 3 years. He's a bus operator for Brown's Charter, and he's worked there for less than a year. He will not qualify to be represented by the Public Defender's Office. He does have a high school diploma, and as it was noted, he does share an 11-year-old child with Ms. Ross. My client states that, and I just want to note it again, that this incident happened on March 31st. There have been no other issues or arrests as it pertains to my client. My client states that he was formerly in a relationship with Ms. Ross. They had a disagreement about his infidelity. And then she showed up at his home, rammed her car into his car, also keyed his car, and left the location. My client denies the allegations as alleged and believes that Ms. Ross may have presented this alternate story to law enforcement to evade her own arrest for the crimes that she committed. My client stated that he also has that incident on videotape from that date. My client does not have any violent convictions. I had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Ross earlier. She stated that she did not mind having contact with Mr. Golden. She just didn't want him showing up at her home unannounced, and that they do not have anyone that they can rely on for third-party transfer. So I would ask for a signature on bond. If Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask for a bond of $1,000.
Right. At this time, defendant will receive a $3,500 surety bond. He's to have no contact with Ms. Ross, and he's to stay away from the Nelson Street location. Additionally, he's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. I am going to require the third-party transfer at this time, just for now, but that condition can be revisited at a later date. All right. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the bench.
All right. Hearing none, best of luck to you, Mr. Golden.
Thank you.
Position 8, Hayes.
All right, Mr. Hayes, your case is 23 CR 003437Y. In this case, you're charged with criminal trespass and obstruction. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
34 total. Last arrest was a couple of weeks ago for suspended license. VGCSA 4 counts. Drug-related objects, cruelty to children 2 counts. Possession of a weapon, I guess during the commission. Possession of a firearm by convicted felon, terrorist threats, ag assault, kidnapping 3 counts. That's out of Clayton County. 2018 ag assault probation, 2016 probation. 2015 possession of cocaine, meth, marijuana, simple battery conviction. And a 2013-14 probation.
Ms. Bickerson?
Yes, I'm not sure if pretrial stated, but the defendant does have an open case, open felony case in Clayton County as well. But this incident occurred yesterday at the BP gas station at 221 Cleveland Avenue. And this is where officers spoke with Mr. Antonio Culpepper, the security guard, who stated that he asked the defendant to leave and that the defendant was criminally trespassing by him, and that Officer Weaver gave him a warning on April 8th. While trying to verify this, the defendant began walking away and was stopped by an officer who had to run and find him in order to detain him. The officers were able to verify the previous criminal trespass warning. The defendant's bond was previously preset to $2,000 surety bond, but the state would like to reduce that to a $1,000 surety bond, $500 on each charge, and to stay away from the BP gas station on Cleveland Avenue.
In light of the information before me, Ms. Wells, I'm inclined to give your client a signature bond through the jail, but he must stay away from that address on Cleveland. Is there anything further you wish to add?
No, Your Honor, and I spoke with my client about not returning and he understands. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Defendant is going to receive a $2,000 SOB through the jail, $1,000 each count. He's to absolutely stay away from that address on Cleveland Avenue. Don't even walk down that street, sir. And additionally, he's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Anything further?
No.
Oh,
All right. Best of luck to you. All right. Who do we have next?
Position 15, Romaine.
All right. Good afternoon. Your case number is 23 CR 003440J. In this case, you are charged with simple battery family violence. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
42 total. Last arrest was 2020, simple battery family violence. I think he got a bench warrant. He got an open, unlawful for a person to give false, I don't know, they shorten this. Let's see, 2019 ag assault battery dismissed, probation from 2014, 2013 trespass conviction, 2012 obstruction conviction, 2011 probation, and 2010 trespass conviction.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Young?
Yes, Judge. This incident occurred on May 28th of 2020 at 435 Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard, Southwest in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Trudy Scott, who our officers had no contact with. The victim reported that the defendant pushed her against the wall, causing her to fall and injure her hip. Both lived in the same apartment at the time of this incident. State's recommendation is a $2,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim. Stay away from that address, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and 1 day anger awareness. That's all for the state.
Can you give me that incident location one more time? I apologize.
It's 435 Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard, Southwest, Atlanta.
Thank you. And I'm sounding for Ms. Scott.
Your Honor, my sincere condolence to Miss Scott Trudy. She passed away, Your
She
Honor.
passed away. Okay.
Yes.
Please. I wasn't aware. All right, please proceed, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Mr. Roman, he is 66 years old, and he, as I said, the victim is no longer available. We have no objection to stay away. Not to stay away, no further contact. However, the incident location 435 Joseph E. Lowry is his address, Your Honor. So we would like to make sure he can return his house. And Your Honor, my client is retired and he is receiving Social Security, food stamps. Even though he also received a disability check, he still qualified for public defender services. Because of his financial resources, we would like to request for a signature on bond. This happened in 2020, Your Honor, almost 3 years ago, and the case is really mute. It should be dismissed or closed, Your Honor. We would like to request for signature on bond. Thank you.
All right. At this time, defendant will receive a $1,000 surety bond. He is to have, well, I guess there's no need for no further contact or stay away at this time. So he will receive that $1,000 surety bond. All right. Best of luck to you, sir.
Last case, Judge, position 20, Williams.
And is there an announcement for position 10? Or 10 won't be brought today?
Position 10 bonded, pays bond.
Okay, and 18 as well?
Mr. Webb is a waiver of appearance, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, I will note the state's objection. Is the courtroom completely empty?
We're gonna put them in the back.
I can take.
Okay,
Go ahead, please.
all right. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Holly, will you please turn off the live stream? I will note the state's objection to my doing so. All right, Mr. Williams, your case is 23 CR 0034448F. I will not sound this charge at this time with the offense date of May the 14th. Do you understand your rights? You can nod for me. I know you're muted. Do you understand your rights? All right, thank you.